Hello, gear nerds of the internet. Today we are reviewing my old VPI Scout. This is version 1. They've had multiple versions since. This has since been discontinued, and now they do other turntables. This used to be their cheapest one. Let's talk about it.
In the morning.
Okay, let's talk about my VPI turntable that I have owned now for 17, 18 years, something like that. As you can see, it comes in 3 main parts. So this is your motor, which is completely decoupled from your plinth to help reduce vibration. You got this big acrylic platter. This thing will spin for days on here. Look at it go. You have your JMW 9-inch tone arm, which I featured in this video for the ATVM 95E cartridge review. See, look at that thing, it's still going. So let's talk about the components here. So this is where the magic happens. You plug in your RCA cables, you plug in your ground. This ground wire goes to the bottom of the tone arm mount. Here's something funny. So when I've reached out to VPI a couple times, and I have said at one point that I had an Aries Scout, and they said, "What is an Aries Scout?" I know what they're like. We know what an Aries is. We know what a Scout is. What's an Aries Scout? I'm like, I don't know. That's what it says on the back of your unit. So this is made in America, made in New Jersey, because you know things come from New Jersey a lot, I guess. You have nothing else on the back here that's all that exciting, but let's talk about the tone arm, because the tone arm is fairly unique. It was more unique then than maybe now. As you can see, this thing just kind of floats here. And what it is what they call a uni-pivot bearing, which is not really a bearing, it's a little sharp needle that this guy rides on. And it's a little tricky to get on here, I'm not going to lie. Ooh, I got it on there the first try. That's not normally the case. So you got this teeter-tottery sort of thing going on, which can be a little scary at first. Then you have, this is where you set your VTA. There's a set screw in here that keeps you from moving it after you set it. You can move this up. It doesn't matter because it's not going to go anywhere, because it's screwed in. And they actually include Allen wrenches for everything here. All these things that you see, you have a wrench for. There's 2 different size wrenches, a big one and a smaller one. So it is all easy to change. How you set so that's how you set the VTA. The way you set the tracking force is you slide this back and forth. And then, as you may have noticed, on the back of this, it is not centered. And that is so you can set the azimuth, which is, you know, like it's like either this way or this way. You kind of want it flat. So you can move this one way or the other, this way or this way, to kind of use gravity to set the azimuth. So, you know, that's normally what happens when I try to put it on here. Let's talk about the things I hate about this tone arm. I don't love that. It's super difficult to maintain your azimuth and adjust your tracking force at the same time. What I'll normally do is I will set the tracking force And then usually I'll tighten it so that I won't move it this way, but I can still turn it this way to set the azimuth. Yeah, so that I really dislike that. The other thing I don't like is, let me spin this around here. So as you can see, there is no anti-skate mechanism, and VPI decided that how they were going to set the anti-skate is, and this is crazy, how much you have this wire twisted. So the less twisted, the less resistance it's going to have going this way, and the inverse that way. You take it and you twist it, and then you plug it back in. And there you go. Now you have a new setting of anti-skate. I have found that there is no good way to set the anti-skate using that method. I can have it so that it goes less slowly this way, and I can have it so that it goes like this, but I can't have it so that it stays in the center. So VPI, after this came out, they released a different version with a mechanism that attaches here, and then it has a little weight, and then it attaches right behind the, right there, and so it'll pull it to keep the anti-skate set. You can actually buy that as an upgrade for this and install it. I might do that. It's $150, which is kind of pricey. So maybe I won't do that. And there's been a lot of upgrades for this turntable, and $150 is about the cheapest that it can go. A lot of their upgrades are super expensive, like in the multiple hundreds of dollars. And I just haven't found it in me to want to pay that kind of money. Like, they made an upgraded motor, which I didn't bother with because I think that was $300 or $400. They made an upgraded platter that was made out of aluminum. I didn't bother. They make upgraded feet. Those are multiple $100s as well. So, as you may have guessed, I didn't bother. So how do you set this thing up? Well, you take your motor and you slide it in over here. And you put it in there just well enough so it's not touching the three walls of the plinth. You take your and then there you go. You have your belt installed. On top of here is a screw-on weight. I guess it's not really a weight, but it what it does is you can see that this has a rubber gasket. This sits higher than the record. You put it on here and it clamps the record down, kind of preventing some warped records from sounding and being quite warped. Sometimes you gotta like unloosen it a little bit because sometimes it'll squeeze it so hard that it will kind of make a warp in a different place. You know what? Let me go grab the clamp so you can see what that's like. So this is the clamp, and it goes like this. And this is a Chicago record, and I will show you how that works. Put your record on the turntable, and as you can see, this isn't laying flat because of that washer. Then you take this and you clamp it down, and now it is married to your platter. And then so normally when I turn this thing on, what I do is I'll give this a spin, and then I'll turn the motor on so the motor isn't actually doing that heavy lifting of spinning the platter. you know, and then you drop the needle on the record. So let's talk about maintenance on this thing. In my owning of this for 17 years, this is my second belt, and it still functions perfectly well. I don't know what they make it out of, but that's pretty astounding that after 17, 18 years, I've only used 2 belts. The original one and then this one. I have one time had to see you later, Chicago. There's a single bearing under here. I have one time had to put some white lithium grease on here because it was not running smooth. Occasionally I'll drop a couple of drops of oil for the bearing in this. I think that's it in terms. Oh, you know what? This the record Q lever, the record Q lever. All of the oil kind of leaked out of that. They just have like a little bit of oil inside to like slowly drop it. You can get something at hobby shops that sell trains. I don't know what it's called. I'll have to look into it. I tried to find the bottle of it that I have, and I couldn't find it. But basically just put like 2 drops inside of that, and then it worked fine. That's all I've ever had to do to this thing in the past 17, 18 years, which has been pretty good. Sometimes I think about replacing this. Why, I don't know. I thought about upgrading it to one of the newer versions, and honestly, I don't have a whole lot of complaints, other than the lack of anti-skate, which I said I can remedy for $150, and this kludgy way of setting the azimuth. Someone actually makes like an outer ring thing here that you can like turn rather than turn the whole thing, and then it has like a sticker that you can kind of tell where it is more. I don't know how much that is. I've never bothered with that. I try to keep the azimuth basically as straight as possible. I've done how many? So this is a replacement because the original one broke. The original one was made out of plastic. And so I bought this. I think they charged me $20 for this thing. I mean, not terrible. And then this thing is called the Q-Up. And as you've noticed, this thing doesn't get to the end and then lift itself up and bring it back. It just will sit there all day playing the last groove of your record. So you get this thing and you install it, and when this thing goes along, gets to the end, and then it'll pop up and lift it up. I've had that thing for at least 10 years, if not longer. I think that was $50 when I bought it. Maybe it was less, I don't know. And that thing has been fantastic. It has not failed me yet. It's hard to describe sonics on a turntable because I think that most of your sonics come from that guy right there. Why did I buy this? Well, before this, I had a MMF 5.1, maybe? 5.1, I think. Music Hall, MMF 5.1. I think that's right. Turntable. And that had similar concept where you had this belt that you had to manually move. Oh, so I forgot to show you. So this is 33, and then that is 45. Well, that's 45. If you don't knock it off. Normally I have this sitting on some little bits of sorbothane, which is a material that helps vibration, because I don't want vibration coming from that into the thing that it's sitting on and then vibrating back up into this. So this is normally a little bit higher, so that never does that. But anyway. So I had the MMF 5.1, and you actually had to take off the platter. It was a glass platter, not this thick. It was, maybe that thick. Maybe, half an inch, maybe more than that. I don't remember. And you'd actually have to lift this up to go from 45 to 33. And man, that drove me insane. And then the other thing that the MMF 5.1, then it never sounded great to me. It sounded good, but it never sounded great. So I ordered this with a tax return with a Grado Gold cartridge, and immediately it sounded significantly better than the MMF 5 point whatever. And it was way easier to use, and I've been sticking with this ever since. Now, I have considered getting a Fluence, whatever the top of the line, the was it RP or RT 85, the one with the MP 110 cartridge, to compare to this to see, is this really significantly better than that? I don't know if I'll do that. I might do that. I don't know. I'll think about it. They didn't have the color, they didn't have the black one in stock. So that makes my choice easier for the time being that I'm not going to do that. But as you can see, this is a well-constructed unit. I think on the used market they go for around like $1,300. Is that a good deal? I don't know. I would say the difference between buying this used for $1,300 and I don't know what else is out there in that price range for $1,300 new or even used. It's probably a decent deal. I would probably, I mean, I've liked it enough to stick with. I don't really stick with gear very much, but I've stuck with this thing for seemingly forever. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. You have any questions? Put them down below. I'm more than happy to answer them. Do you have a VPI Scout? Do you have the 1.1 version? Do you have the the 2 version? Have you gone from this to something else? Let me know, because I'm curious. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this thing. I like trying different stuff, but turntables are hard because I don't know. I'm of the mind that it works, and so why change it? I don't know. Let me know what you think below. Have a good day.